Gold project covers 900 square kilometres of the highly prospect sandstone gridstone belt. So with that, Matthew, I would like to for you to join us on stage, please.
Thanks, Danielle. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. It's great to be back presenting in person. Thanks to Kerry and the team for putting on the event over the last couple of days. It's been great. There's been some really good sort of presentations that I'm sure you guys have listened to, and welcome to all of you for coming along to listen to my presentation now. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Alto Metals, some of the fantastic drill results we've had over the last 18 months, really, and why we're so excited about this historic goldfield. We've really hit the ground running hard last year. We drilled 60,000 metres. And I'll go through the slide on that in a minute. It's more than we've drilled in the last 4 years and some of the reasons behind that. But it's really exciting. We've grown the resource. It's increased over 92% increase just on the back of that drilling. We're getting some great results coming through again this year. We can see that resource continue to grow. So it's a great spot for us, and we're really passionate about the project. If there's one thing I'd like you to take away from my presentation this afternoon, it's that I talk about this as the Sandstone Gold Project, but we see it as a lot more. We see it as a much larger historic gold field, which is pretty amazing for a small company of our size to basically have a 900 square kilometre tenure over a historic gold field that's already produced over 1.3 million ounces of gold, and we can see a lot more there. The image that you're looking at is just, for example, that's the Lord Nelson pit. It's 500 metres long, it's 300 metres wide. It was mined down to 90 metres. It produced over 200,000 ounces of gold at 4.6 grams per tonne. And they stopped mining when they hit fresh rock. So there's mineralisation at the bottom of that pit. And that's just one of the pits that we have in the whole property. And from part of it, it's just a very simple West Australian story. We're going back, it's a different gold price environment. We're drilling a little bit deeper. We're going below some old pits and we're finding a lot more gold. Very quickly, the disclaimer. This is on the ASX platform, so I'll let you read that in your own time. So, as I said, we're a WA advanced gold explorer. We've got a very strategic land position. It's 900 square kilometres. It covers an entire greenstone belt, so it's not moose pasture. It has historically produced over 1.3 million ounces. Most of the historical exploration and mining has been really focused on near-surface oxide mineralisation. We have a lot of oxide there, but we're really just drilling a little bit deeper. We're finding a lot more gold. We're surrounded by a number of operating mills, so there's certainly strategically where we're sitting. We've got that optionality over how we take this forward into development. And there's a number of multi-million ounce deposits in the region, so it's a very, very prolific gold environment. Our resource currently sits at 635,000 ounces. It's 1.6 grams. It's very, very shallow. 90% of it sits above 160 metres. It's got an optimised pit shell around it, which is really key. So basically, it's an in-pit gold resource of 635. So working through, next step will be to look at some of the economics and so forth that are there. But sort of from our point of view, it's all very shallow and it's all open pittable. And more importantly, it's still open along strike and at depth. It's made up of a couple of deposits. One is that Lord Nelson pit I showed you on the front cover, and some of the other ones that I'll run through shortly, they're unmined and they're still open along strike, both on a northwest-southeast direction. And importantly, one of the things, I'm not sure how many people have spoken about this, but one of the things when you look at with gold is also the metallurgy. I've been involved in a number of gold companies over my life, and one of the key things that we did at Alto very early on was to start looking at the met work, and sort of we're getting recoveries up to 98%, which what that means is it's amenable to a very simple CIL process. So from what we've seen at the moment, there's no refractory issues, so it's a very clean, simple mining that we can look to do as we advance the project further. We're fairly well cashed up. We've got $5 million in the bank at the moment. A 60,000 metre drill program is planned for this year. That started the beginning of March, and that rig's secured for the whole year. So we've got one rig on site all year. The assays were getting a slight improvement. We were blowing out to about 150 days, which was pretty crazy. Last year we had about 3 rigs on site, and we were almost just waiting for assays to come back before we could plan the next program. But we've sort of pushed that back to one rig at the moment. We may look to get a second rig on site, depending on how some of our results come through. But we'll have that rig, which means we can have fairly consistent news flow over the next 12 months. And then I will just talk on, there is a slide here, we have had quite a bit of corporate interest, which we see as a big endorsement over the project. That is because of strategically where we're sitting, and really because the speed at which the project has been advanced. And finally, we've got another resource update coming up in the second half of the year. So very quickly on the corporate, we've got 528 million shares in issue, so the share price is sitting at about 7.7. We've held up quite well over the last couple of days, which is quite nice. So market cap's about $40 million. We're a very, very tightly held stock, so the top 20 hold about 65% of us. So liquidity, we are a slightly sort of very tightly held stock, so the liquidity is not there. But we've got a very supportive shareholder base. My fellow director, Terry Wheeler, is the large shareholder with just under 20%. He's certainly sort of put his money where his mouth is a few times, where we've got into a little bit of difficulty with some of the corporate activity that's going on. But I guess the shareholders at the moment love what we're doing. We're finding a lot more gold. We've got rigs on site, and because as we're drilling, they're happy because we're finding that gold. So I just wanted to jump in, first of all, to some of the highlights that we had, because we have been pretty excited. I mean, some of those results there are outstanding. They're all very, very shallow. They're thick, high grade, 67 metres at 2.3. That's below that old, the Lord Nelson pit. And what you're looking at there in that image there, that's a 3-kilometre corridor. It's a big, large granodiorite intrusion. It's popped up, so we're sort of in its intrusion style. So, typically these things can host, millions of ounces of gold. We're looking down a 3-kilometre corridor to another open pit there called Lord Henry that didn't quite produce as much as Lord Nelson, but that's really just hasn't had the level of drilling. The mineralisation at Lord Henry is more vertically stacked, whereas the mineralisation at Lord Nelson in the foreground here is plunging to the south. And you'll see a long section I have on that which shows where that mineralisation is plunging. But some amazing hits out there, and it just really hasn't been tested. Bear in mind that most of the exploration before was focused on sort of near-surface shallow oxide ounces. A lot of that was driven because of the oxide mill. So even if they did mine the fresh rock, it couldn't go through that mill. So there was no intention to sort of go and drill further. So that for us is the opportunity. And here it is from what we're seeing of that resource growing. And I guess from a graphic point of view, we drilled 60,000 metres, I said, last year. We're planning on drilling another 60 this year. That's more than we've drilled in the last 4 years combined. And it's fairly binary that the more you drill, if you're in the right area, of course, you're going to find a lot more ounces. And that's what we're focused on at the moment, is just adding a lot more ounces. And with the big program we've got planned that's underway at the moment, we hope to have a second resource out towards the end of the year. And hopefully that's certainly going to improve on the current 635. So we're located in, I said, in Western Australia. Sort of you can see there that blue image is over the Sandstone Greenstone Belt, surrounded by a number of mills. So you've got Goldfields, Agnew, Lawlers out to the east, and then you've got Ramelius's Mount Magnet, and then two of Westgold's operations further to the west and then northwest. So it's a great spot. We can drive out there. It's about an 8-hour drive, sealed roads. We've got an airstrip at the town of Sandstone, so we can fly in there on a chartered plane. You can fly into Mount Magnet. It's really, really easy to get to, and it's a great spot to operate. And Western Australia was recently rated #1 in the Fraser Institute of Investment Attractiveness as a destination. So, WA, it's a great place to be. So this is a great slide. It's pretty busy, but you're looking at the entire. We've got. Looking at the entire property here of 900 square k's, and you can see there's a number of targets there. Now, those targets are either historical mines, so Hacks and Arroya, two very high-grade reefs. They both produce over 200,000 ounces at sort of 16 and 25 grams per tonne, so super high grade. Then Bull China, Lord Nelson, Lord Henry, a number of open pits. Again, sort of, you're talking sort of 200,000 ounces, all in oxide. The reefs obviously are a little bit deeper. The mining at Hacks and Arroya sort of initially stopped during the First World War, so they have gone back since. But the company that owned this more recently, that you may be familiar with, Troy Resources, and they were really just focused on that oxide ore. So what we're looking at here is all these targets they're not just sort of, I guess, circles on the screen that the geos have worked out from a structural targeting point of view. They're genuine targets, whether they're soils or old mills. And so for us, it demonstrates there's so much potential in this property. The other challenge is, where do you start? It's certainly an enviable position to be in, and I guess for us, when we were looking at this and we're thinking, okay, we've got to start drilling and working on one or two areas, and the comment was, why would you leave gold to go and find gold? And that's really where we were looking at Lord Nelson, where you've got mineralisation below that pit, so let's just see how far it sort of continues to the south. And so that's really where our focus has been on for the last sort of 18 months. We've now started stepping out. We're looking at Vanguard and Indomitable, so that's in that alpha domain. And that's really where our priority focus is still at the moment, but you can see there's much more than that. And this is, I should have changed the title of this slide because I know that everyone's been sort of saying historical drilling has just scratched the surface, but I think this slide really does show that. The image on the left of the screen is all the drilling that's ever been done over the entire Sandstone Gold project. And then you have the same image there on the right that's all the drilling that's deeper than 100 metres. So you can just see that all that drilling just completely disappears, which is pretty amazing for, again, being in WA and a gold belt there. So we're just looking at the Lord's corridor. So this is that Lord Nelson pit, and you can see Lord Henry down the bottom there. As I said, it's a 3 kilometre long granodiorite, and really most of the mineralisation we're seeing, it's on that contact, on that eastern side between the granodiorite and then you've got ultramafic rocks, and we're seeing that high grade, but then we're seeing quite a bit of mineralisation within the granodiorite itself. Here's a typical section, and that's some of those nice thick zones. You can see there at the bottom of the pit, and we've then stepped out. We followed up on a 40-metre intercept, sort of 40 at 3, which was announced late last year, and last month we announced 67 metres at 2.5, and we have another hole that's stepped out again from that, which is pending, so we're looking forward to seeing that quite a lot. And this is Lord Nelson in a long section. It's really sort of amazing, really, when you think Lord Nelson literally was about 50,000 ounces, so we've added considerable ounces there, and that's still plunging. It's all within an open pit, or it's got a pit shell around it, sorry, and it's all plunging to the south still. So the next plan for us is to sort of follow up from Juno, which is a new discovery, a new lode that was discovered late last year, and Orion, which was discovered about 18 months ago. So it's there's certainly a lot more growth to go there. And so this is, I guess, a zoom in on that alpha domain. So we're still looking in the southeast corner, and we've really now just started to sort of look at the alpha domain hosts a 20-kilometre long gold corridor. So there's mineralisation, through from Havilah to Vanguard and Indomitable. And if we look at Vanguard as an example, last year that was 50,000 ounces. We've drilled 20,000 metres just at Vanguard. We tripled the size of that deposit. It's still open. It's open at depth. It's open along. It's defined over 2 kilometres, and it's open to the northwest and southeast. So it's pretty exciting for us, and we're now doing the same at Indomitable. So we've got a rig that's essentially parked there. It's and we're planning on drilling about 20,000 metres there, and we're hoping to sort of repeat the success we had at Vanguard. So that's where you can see that real growth coming from as we sort of look to build on that 635,000 ounces. So that's and that's still most of that drilling's down to about a depth of about 200 metres, so it's still very, very shallow. It's still be hopefully open pittable, and for us the focus is on that area. So just on news flow, as I said, we're building on a lot of the success we had from 2011. A very, very busy year with that one rig secured for the whole year. Consistent news flow between now and Christmas. We've got some more results coming out from the Lords. We've got some results coming out, a first round of results coming out from Indomitable, which should be with us in the next couple of weeks. We're getting improvement on the turnaround in the assays. And then we're just going to see more results coming through from Indomitable over the coming months. And there are a couple of regional targets that we want to go and follow up as well, just to highlight that slide before that showed the whole belt, looking at some of those other prospects there and really sort of just reminding investors that it's not just the Lords or the Alpha domain, but it's a strategic, very strategic package. And then leading into probably the fourth quarter resource update, which we're all very much looking forward to seeing. Perfect timing. So this is just my last slide. I'm at booth 6. I know it's late in the day, but I'll be here for the rest of the day. So, and I'll certainly be coming, having a couple of beers, courtesy of EMR. So, yeah, please come past the booth, have any chats. This is obviously a very brief presentation. I've got a more fulsome one, which is also on the ASX platform, but I've got it in the booth so I can run through that and walk through Vanguard and Indomitable. But yeah, in summary, $5 million, 60,000 metres of drilling. We're hitting it really hard. Resource update in the second half of the year. It's a big package. Very, very shallow drilled, and we've got multiple targets. 15 seconds left. Done. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Matthew, and well done under the time. Right, so moving right along, the next presentation.